Ethan's hands moved quickly over the ship's controls, but no matter what he did, the main engine refused to respond. Sparks flew from the console, lighting up the dim cockpit. The hum of life support was the only sound steady enough to comfort him. He leaned back in his seat, trying to calm his racing heart. He was alone. Far too alone. And deep in a sector of space that few humans ever visited. The asteroid field outside loomed like jagged teeth. Shadows danced across the cockpit glass, as massive rocks drifted silently, tumbling end over end. Ethan knew he had limited time. A wrong move could crush the hull, and with the engine dead, there was no escaping. Come on, he muttered, pressing buttons and flipping switches, hoping something would kick the engine back to life. A sudden thump against the hull made him jump. A small warning light blinked. Another asteroid grazed the ship. Just a scratch, but it was enough to remind him how fragile he was out here. He opened the communications console. Static. The nearest station was days away, and the emergency beacon had no power. His fingers trembled. He had survived plenty of missions before, but this felt different. Then, a faint signal appeared on the radar. Something small, moving fast, weaving expertly through the asteroid field. It wasn't a human ship. It was too small, too precise. Ethan squinted at the screen. "What in the galaxy?" he whispered. The tiny ship approached, and a holographic display showed a figure stepping out of the cockpit. Ethan's eyes widened. She was small, only about 4 feet tall. Her body was delicate, but her posture showed confidence. Her skin had a faint shimmer, and her eyes glowed softly in the dim light of the field. "You need help," she said, her voice melodic but firm. "Your engines are fried. I can fix them." Ethan blinked. Thanks, I guess, but who are you?" "Lyra," she said, a small smile tugging at her lips. "And you are?" "Ethan Cole." He paused, unsure what to do. Are you human?" Lyra tilted her head. "No, but that doesn't matter. Your ship will be operational soon if I help." Ethan's heart skipped a beat. He had read about alien species helping stranded travelers, but he had never seen one up close. And here she was, small, confident, and apparently capable of fixing a human ship. He hesitated only a moment before opening the docking bay. The bay. Small alien climbed aboard like she owned the place, her movements precise and efficient. She studied the engine with careful eyes, touching panels, pressing buttons, and scanning wires. Sparks of alien technology danced at her fingertips. Ethan watched in awe. How are you doing that?" he asked, leaning over the console. Lyra didn't look up. "I understand machines differently. You humans are clever, but your designs are sometimes predictable." She adjusted a small device, and the engine hummed faintly. "There, just a few more calibrations." Ethan's jaw dropped. In minutes, the engine roared back to life, stronger than before. He blinked, hardly believing it. You fixed it. How did?" Lyra smiled, finally looking at him. "I told you, it wasn't that difficult, but I didn't come just to fix your ship." Ethan's stomach twisted. "Oh? Then why?" "I need a ride," Lyra said. "For now." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "A ride? You can't be serious. You're tiny, and I don't even know you." Lyra tilted her head again, her glowing eyes full of amusement. "You don't have to know me. I only need passage. You have a ship. I have skills. We can help each other." Ethan rubbed his temples. He had spent years alone in space, trusting no one but himself. But something about Lyra's confidence, her quiet intelligence, made him hesitate. He didn't know if he could trust her, but he also didn't have a choice. If he tried to leave, she would probably outmaneuver him in this asteroid field. And then what? Fine, he said finally. But you follow my rules? Lyra nodded. Fair enough. As she strapped herself into a seat designed for someone twice her size, Ethan took one last look at the asteroid field. With Lyra's guidance, the ship wove through the massive rocks with a precision that stunned him. It was as if she could see the path before it existed. Impressive, he muttered. It's nothing, she replied casually. Just attention and practice. You humans could learn a lot if you tried harder. Ethan chuckled despite himself. He liked her blunt honesty. For the first time in weeks, he felt a spark of hope. He still didn't know why she had come or what she wanted beyond a ride, but he realized he might learn something valuable from her, and maybe she would from him. Hours passed as the small ship and Ethan's larger vessel moved together through the void. He tried to engage her in conversation, asking questions about her species, her home world, and why she traveled alone. Lyra answered in pieces, revealing glimpses of a society that valued intelligence, adaptability, and curiosity. You're different from the stories, Ethan said finally. Most aliens I've read about wouldn't even approach a human in distress. Why did you? Lyra's glowing eyes met his. Because humans are interesting. You survive where others fail. You create where others destroy. You are clever, in ways my people often underestimate, and I wanted to see for myself. Ethan felt a swell of pride. He had always believed in human ingenuity, but hearing it from someone who wasn't human, it was exhilarating. For the first time in his life, he felt that humanity might not just survive the galaxy. It might thrive. The stars stretched endlessly before them. Ethan didn't know what adventures lay ahead, but with Lyra aboard, he felt ready to face them. And somewhere deep in the back of his mind, he wondered what else this small, confident alien girl might bring into his life, and if it would be more than just a ride through the stars. The hum of Ethan's engines filled the cabin as the ship glided past sparkling stars and drifting debris. Lyra sat cross-legged on the floor, examining the control panel with careful attention. She moved with a confidence that made Ethan nervous and fascinated at the same time. Every button she touched, every wire she adjusted seemed to respond immediately, as if the ship recognized her touch. Ethan leaned over her shoulder. I still don't understand how you fixed my engines. The core was fried. I spent hours trying to restart it, and you... He shook his head. You did it in minutes. Lyra didn't look up. Your human technology is strong, but simple, predictable. A little creativity, some recalibration, and it obeys. She smiled faintly, as if sharing a secret she didn't have to explain. Ethan's eyebrows rose. Simple? That was anything but simple for me. If you think that's easy, maybe you're seeing more than you should. Lyra tilted her head, her glowing eyes reflecting the soft light of the console. Perhaps, but I see potential. You humans survive where others fail. You adapt. That is why I am interested in you. Ethan felt a mixture of pride and curiosity. No alien had ever complimented him or humanity in this way. Most treated humans as weak or reckless. But Lyra, she seemed different. She seemed to respect them. He decided to test her. All right, Lyra, you fixed my engines, but can you handle the shields? That asteroid field we just passed nearly tore the hull apart. Lyra's smile widened, faint but genuine. Shields are simple, but I want to see your methods first. Humans have interesting approaches. Ethan guided her to the shield controls. She watched quietly as he demonstrated, explaining his logic and decisions. Then, without a word, she adjusted a few circuits and reprogrammed the energy flow. The shields glowed brighter, more stable, and even responded faster to nearby threats. Ethan stared at the display. That's incredible. How did you— Observation, Lyra said softly. I learn quickly. Your methods are good but limited. Together we are stronger. Ethan felt a spark of admiration. You're not just fixing things. You're improving them. That's beyond anything I expected. Lyra shrugged lightly. It's just how I work. I see patterns. I correct weaknesses. Your species is capable but often blind to its own potential. For hours, they worked, together fine-tuning the ship. Ethan began to notice that Lyra was not just skilled with technology, she was learning about him too. Her questions were subtle but curious. She asked about his training, his missions, even the way he made decisions under pressure. You think too much about what could go wrong, she observed one evening, her small fingers tracing the edge of the console. Humans focus on survival. That is good. But sometimes you miss opportunity. Ethan chuckled. You mean I'm cautious? I call it smart. I've lost friends by being reckless. I prefer to plan. Lyra shook her head. Planning is useful, but risk is also a teacher. You adapt. That is why I want to see more of you. You surprise me. Ethan blinked. No alien had ever spoken to him like this, never so directly, never with such genuine curiosity. Most judged humans from afar, seeing only flaws, but Lyra seemed fascinated. And maybe, in some strange way, she wanted to understand him. The first night in space passed quietly. Ethan tried to sleep, but the small alien's soft hum as she examined star charts kept him awake. Eventually, he gave up and watched her. Lyra moved gracefully, touching panels, scanning sensors, her eyes glowing softly. She seemed small and delicate, yet every action carried precision and strength. You work well alone, Ethan said quietly. Do you always travel like this? Lyra looked up, surprised he was still awake. No. I travel with others sometimes, but humans are interesting. They have potential. That is why I am here. Not because your ship broke, not only for help, but because I am curious about you. Ethan felt a strange warmth, curiosity, respect, and something else. He wasn't sure what it was. He had spent so long alone in space that human or alien companionship felt unfamiliar, almost impossible. But Lyra, she made it seem natural. The next day, a small problem emerged. A minor circuit in the navigation system began flickering, threatening to scramble their course. Ethan panicked slightly. Not again, he muttered, running through the diagnostics. Lyra stepped forward, her small hands hovering over the system. Let me, she said simply. Within moments, the flicker stopped, and the course stabilized. Ethan stared. You just did that. You didn't even need to look at the manuals? Lyra shook her head. I understand patterns. I don't need manuals, but I also learn from humans. You would have fixed this differently, yes? Ethan nodded slowly. Maybe, but probably slower and less elegant. She smiled faintly. Humans have style, cleverness, persistence. That is why I'm curious. I want to see more. Throughout the day, they worked side by side, fixing minor problems, improving systems, and navigating through regions of space where sensors struggled to detect hazards. Every time Ethan thought he had seen the limits of human ingenuity, Lyra showed him a new way of looking at things. And every time he saw her adapt, he realized she was learning from him too. By the time they stopped at a small, uninhabited asteroid outpost to rest, Ethan felt a strange combination of pride and unease. Pride in what humanity could achieve, even in isolation. Unease because he didn't fully understand Lyra's intentions. She had helped him. She had improved his ship. She had studied him. But she hadn't explained why she really wanted to travel with him. That night, as Ethan stared at the stars, he realized something. He wasn't just grateful for the help. He was intrigued by her, curious, and perhaps a little afraid of how much he might learn from her, or how much she might learn about him. The void of space was vast, dangerous, and silent. But with Lyra aboard, it suddenly felt full of possibilities. And Ethan knew, deep in his heart, that this small alien girl was not just a mechanic, not just a passenger. She was something else entirely, something that could change the way he saw the universe and himself. The stars stretched endlessly before Ethan as he guided his ship through a narrow corridor of space. The engine hummed steadily thanks to Lyra's repairs, and the shields glowed a steady blue. He stole a glance at the small alien girl sitting across the cabin, her legs dangling over the edge of the seat as she studied the star charts with glowing eyes. She seemed completely at ease, as if the chaos of deep space were just another playground. "You really know your way around this area," Ethan said. "I've flown here before, but I wouldn't trust myself without you." Lyra looked up, her small frame calm and confident. "It is easy for me. I see patterns, stars, energy flows, gravitational fields. They tell me the way. Humans rely on instruments, which are good, but sometimes slow. You humans can surprise me, though. Your instincts are clever." Ethan felt a swell of pride. Humans may not have had centuries of alien technology, but they were adaptable, inventive, and brave. He had survived missions that other pilots would have called impossible. "Thanks," he said. "I guess we're a little underestimated out here." Lyra's eyes glowed softly. "Underestimated, yes. But underestimated is useful. You adapt. You create. You survive. That is why I'm traveling with you." Ethan chuckled. "You make it sound so simple. Just survival. You should try human bureaucracy sometime. It will test you in ways nothing else can." She tilted her head, a smile tugging at her lips. "I think I will pass on that challenge. Your species has cleverness enough." "That will do." The small ship's autopilot activated, following Lyra's subtle adjustments to the energy fields. Ethan watched in amazement as she guided them safely past a rogue cluster of asteroids, avoiding collisions that would have damaged even the strongest hulls. "I have to admit," he said, "I didn't expect an alien this small to be so capable." Lyra's grin was faint but confident. "Size does not determine ability. I am small, but I can move with precision, see patterns others miss, and act faster than many larger beings. And I am curious about humans. That is why I am here. To learn, to see how you face challenges." Hours passed in silence, filled only by the steady hum of the engines and the occasional soft beep of the navigation system. Ethan found himself observing her. She moved with a grace that was almost unnatural, her fingers flicking over panels with both care and efficiency. She studied his methods quietly, asking questions that were subtle, yet made him think differently about his own choices. "You humans think too linearly," Lyra said at one point, leaning over his shoulder. "You plan, but sometimes fail to adapt. You focus on survival. That is good, but opportunity is lost if you are too cautious." Ethan leaned back, rubbing his temples. "So you're saying I should take more risks? I've survived this long by being careful." Lyra tilted her head. "Adaptation requires both caution and boldness. You survive. But survival is not enough. You can thrive. You humans have the potential if you learn to see beyond fear." Ethan stared at her, impressed and a little unsettled. No one had ever spoken to him like this. Most humans judged others by mistakes or failures. But Lyra, she seemed to challenge him, not to criticize, but to inspire. Their journey continued, each day bringing new obstacles. Rogue comets, energy storms, and space debris became lessons in collaboration. Ethan's quick thinking, combined with Lyra's uncanny ability to predict movement, made them an effective team. He realized humans were clever, yes, but together, with Lyra's alien skills, their potential multiplied. One evening, they encountered a band of space scavengers. They were small, agile ships, clearly hunting for easy prey. Ethan's heart pounded. "We can outrun them," he said, adjusting the shields. Lyra shook her head. "We do not outrun. We outthink." Together they plotted a clever trap using energy signatures and false readings to confuse the scavengers. The enemy ships collided with each other or drifted harmlessly past them, leaving Ethan amazed. He laughed in relief. "I never thought of doing it that way." Lyra's small hands clapped softly. "Humans are clever. I enjoy seeing how you solve problems. You are resourceful, adaptable, and sometimes unpredictable. That is why I want to see more." As the immediate danger passed, Ethan realized something he hadn't admitted before. He had started to enjoy her company, not just for her skill, but for the way she made him think differently. He could feel human ingenuity combining with alien perspective in ways that were exciting. "Lyra," he said quietly, "you said you're curious about humans, but are you curious about me?" Her glowing eyes met his, unblinking. "I am curious about all humans, but you are interesting. You think differently. You survive differently, and you adapt in ways most humans do not. That is why I travel with you. That is why I want to see how you face challenges, and perhaps I am curious about what more you can teach me." Ethan felt a strange warmth in his chest. He had spent so long alone in the void that connection felt foreign. But now, here was someone, small, alien, powerful, who believed humans could be more than they seemed. He realized that Lyra was more than a mechanic, more than a passenger. She was a mirror, reflecting humanity's potential and challenging him to rise higher. For the first time in weeks, Ethan smiled genuinely as he guided the ship past the glowing clouds of a nearby nebula. The colors reflected on Lyra's small frame, and she glanced at him with quiet amusement. "See that?" he said, pointing to the shifting lights. "Most humans would miss it while navigating through space." Lyra nodded. "You notice beauty. That is human. Clever, adaptive, and emotional. Your species survives by thinking, by acting, and by feeling. That combination is rare." Ethan looked out at the endless stars. Danger was still all around them. Challenges awaited. But for the first time, he felt ready to face whatever. The galaxy threw at him, with a small alien girl guiding, teaching, and challenging him every step of the way. The void was no longer just a silent, empty place. It was alive with possibility. And Ethan knew that with Lyra aboard, he was no longer just a survivor. He was part of something greater, a partnership that could redefine what it meant to be human in the galaxy. Ethan's ship drifted into orbit around a small, uninhabited planet. Its surface glowed faintly with shades of orange and green, mountains rising sharply from flat plains, rivers cutting through valleys like silver threads. He had chosen this. Stop to repair minor damage, rest, and gather supplies, but Lyra's excitement suggested she saw more than just utility in the planet. "This place," she said, her glowing eyes scanning the terrain below, "is interesting. Energy flows are stable, minerals abundant, potential for life, or testing skills." Ethan smiled faintly. "You always think like that. Everywhere is a challenge, every situation a lesson." Lyra tilted her head. "Challenges teach. Humans teach too. That is why I am curious. I want to understand you, your ways, your species." Ethan shook his head, fascinated by her perspective. Most humans he had met spent their lives focused on survival, routine, or ambition. Lyra looked deeper. She saw opportunity to learn, adapt, and understand the essence of being. They landed near a shallow river, the ship's engines quiet. Ethan went through the standard checks, inspecting minor scratches from their last asteroid encounter. Lyra followed, crouching over panels and vents, her small hands deftly testing systems with ease. "You are thorough," she observed. "Humans are careful with machines. You preserve what you create instead of discarding it. That is admirable." Ethan chuckled. "You notice the small things. Most aliens I know only care about speed, power, or efficiency. You notice how we think." Lyra's glowing eyes studied him. "Thinking is important. Humans survive because of it. But humans also create. Humans feel. Humans choose. That combination is rare in the galaxy. That is why I am curious about you, Ethan, and perhaps about humans in general." Ethan felt a swell of pride. He had always known humanity was clever, but to hear it from an alien, someone so different, so capable, was empowering. It made him reflect on what humans had achieved, surviving hostile worlds, traveling across light years, building civilizations from scratch and adapting constantly. The day passed slowly. They collected water from the river and repaired minor external panels. Ethan showed Lyra how to use human tools, wrenches, plasma welders, energy testers. She watched carefully, her small fingers learning quickly, adjusting techniques in ways he hadn't expected. "You learn fast," Ethan said, handing her a calibration device. "I learn by observing and trying," Lyra replied. "Your methods are clever, different from my people. Humans surprise me." As the evening approached, the planet's twin suns began to set, casting a warm glow over the landscape. Ethan and Lyra sat on a low ridge, the ship behind them staring at the sky. He had spent hours observing her, trying to understand her curiosity and her calm confidence. Now she turned to him. "Tell me," she said softly, "why humans risk so much? Why do you travel alone in dangerous sectors?" Ethan sighed. "We have to survive, yes, but we also want to explore, discover, learn. There's more to life than safety. Every risk teaches something new." Lyra nodded slowly, as if absorbing each word. "Your people are clever, resourceful, brave, but you also feel. That is unusual. Many species focus only on logic or instinct. Humans combine both. That is, what makes you interesting?" Ethan smiled, noticing the admiration in her voice. It was not condescending or patronizing, but genuine. Lyra was fascinated not just by human skill, but by the human spirit itself, the drive to explore, to adapt, to endure, and to connect. "I've seen you handle my ship, Lyra," he said quietly. "You are amazing, but why travel with me? You could go anywhere, do anything." "Why me?" Lyra's eyes glowed softly, reflecting the sunset. "Because humans are unpredictable. You make choices that surprise even me. You adapt. You create. You face challenges with cleverness and emotion together. That combination, it is rare. I want to see more, learn more, and perhaps I want to see what more you can teach me." Ethan felt a strange warmth in his chest. He had spent so long alone, surviving, solving problems, relying only on himself. But now, here was someone, small, alien, confident, who valued human ingenuity, bravery, and creativity. Someone who respected not only what he could do, but what humanity as a whole represented. Night fell, and the stars emerged, scattered like diamonds across the sky. Ethan lay back, staring at constellations he knew, while Lyra studied unfamiliar star patterns. "You humans name the stars," she said softly. "You create stories for them. That is beautiful." Ethan chuckled. It helps us remember, gives us context, makes the universe a little less lonely. Lyra nodded, her eyes reflecting the light of distant suns. Humans survive by thinking, by feeling, by creating meaning. That is why I am curious. That is why I travel with you. You are more than clever. You are capable of more than even you realize. For the first time, Ethan truly considered what she meant. Survival was important, yes, but thriving, creating, exploring, and connecting, that was something humans had done again and again despite odds. And now, Lyra was showing him that his small acts, his choices, even his emotions, were part of that greatness. The night passed quietly, filled with soft hums of the ship and occasional whispers of the wind across the barren planet. Ethan felt a growing respect for Lyra, not just for her skills, but for her perspective. She was teaching him, yes, but also reminding him of what it meant to be human. Brave, clever, creative, and adaptable. And as the twin suns rose again, painting the planet in soft gold, Ethan realized something he hadn't admitted before. He wasn't just guiding Lyra. She was guiding him too, teaching him lessons in ingenuity, curiosity, and courage. The void of space awaited, full of dangers and unknown possibilities. But after this quiet night on a small planet, Ethan felt ready, not just to survive, but to thrive, not just to explore, but to understand, and perhaps, with Lyra by his side, to discover what humanity could achieve when it embraced not only its intelligence, but its spirit. The journey ahead was long, uncertain, and full of challenges. But with a small alien girl who saw humans for what they could be, Ethan felt a spark of hope. The universe was vast, but so was humanity's potential, and he was finally beginning to see it through her eyes. Ethan adjusted the ship's controls as they approached the derelict space station. Its massive, rusted hull drifted silently among floating debris, a ghost of a civilization long gone. Sensors showed life signs, but they were faint. Likely, scavengers hiding within. Ethan's gut tightened. Space scavengers were unpredictable, dangerous, and known for ambushing anyone unlucky enough to approach. Lyra leaned forward, her small hands tracing the navigation panel. These structures are unstable. Entering without caution will trigger collapse or alarms. I suggest strategy, not speed. Ethan nodded. Agreed. But we need supplies, fuel, spare parts, anything useful. Let's keep this quiet and fast. The key. Ship glided toward the station, silent except for the hum of engines. Inside, shadows stretched across broken corridors, and the faint echoes of past activity made Ethan's stomach twist. He kept his hand near the control panel, ready for any movement. Suddenly, lights flickered on. Dozens of scavengers appeared. From hidden compartments, small but heavily armed. Ethan's heart pounded. Lyra, get ready. We're not leaving without a fight. Lyra's eyes glowed softly, calm but intense. We don't fight. We outthink. You follow my lead. Ethan swallowed and nodded. Together they moved through the station, Lyra guiding him with quick signals. She showed him weak points in the scavengers' formation, exploiting blind spots and structural weaknesses. Ethan marveled at her skill. She was small, but her presence commanded efficiency, precision, and strategy. Use the environment, Lyra whispered. Push debris here. Force them to scatter. Ethan obeyed, activating remote magnetic manipulators to move large metal crates. Scavengers stumbled, giving them time to slip through corridors safely. Lyra's alien technology quietly jammed communication signals, preventing reinforcements. Every move they made was precise, elegant, and surprisingly effective. You humans. Think fast, Lyra said, glancing at him. You adapt. That is why I chose to travel with you. You survive differently, cleverly. Ethan felt a rush of pride. Humans may lack some of the alien advantages she had, but their ingenuity, courage, and adaptability could overcome even the most dangerous situations. He realized that his species had strengths others often underestimated, and with Lyra's help, they became unstoppable. Hours passed as they navigated deeper into the station. Supplies were secured, minor damage repaired, and scavenger patrols avoided without casualties. Ethan's heart still raced, but a thrill ran through him. He was using every skill he had learned, and Lyra was pushing him to be faster, smarter, and more resourceful. At last, they reached the central chamber. It was empty, except for a glowing storage unit containing rare energy cells. Ethan grabbed what he needed while Lyra scanned for remaining threats. "Are we done?" Ethan asked, wiping sweat from his forehead. Lyra shook her head slightly. "Almost. There is one last concern. Your ship may be safe, but scavengers will return. You must choose, fight or escape." Ethan considered the situation. Fighting could endanger them, but escaping would mean leaving some supplies behind. He weighed options quickly, trusting human ingenuity and his own instincts. Escape, he decided. "We'll come back if necessary. We live to fight another day." Lyra nodded. "Wise choice. Risk assessment complete. You humans are clever, yes, but also practical. That combination is rare." They made their way back to the ship with supplies, navigating through collapsed corridors and avoiding remaining scavengers. Ethan piloted the ship expertly, using every skill to dodge debris, while Lyra's guidance allowed them to move with perfect timing. When the station disappeared behind them, a sense of relief washed over him. Lyra sat beside him, small frame relaxed now. "You see, humans are resourceful. You think under pressure. You adapt. That is why I am curious about you. That is why I want more than a ride." Ethan froze, the words catching him off guard. "More than a ride?" he repeated. Lyra's eyes glowed warmly. "I did not come aboard just to fix your ship or gain passage. I wanted to observe, learn, and perhaps understand. Humans are rare, clever, brave, and emotional. You survive, but you also inspire. That is why I stay." Ethan felt a strange mix of pride and hesitation. He had spent so long alone in the void, relying only on his skills and experience. And now, here was someone, small, alien, confident, who wanted more than his help. She wanted connection, partnership, and trust. He exhaled slowly. I didn't expect that. But I'm glad you're here. I think I understand why you came." Lyra tilted her head, a faint smile forming. "You are beginning to? Humans are clever, yes, but also capable of kindness, courage, and creativity. You can teach me about your species, and perhaps yourself. That is what I seek." Ethan glanced out at the stars, feeling the vast emptiness of space around them. Danger still lurked in the galaxy, but he no longer felt isolated. With Lyra by his side, he felt stronger, capable of facing challenges he had once thought impossible. "You know," he said quietly, "we make a good team. Your skills, my experience, we could survive anything together." Lyra's glowing eyes met his, steady and warm. "Yes, that is why I stay. Not only for the ride, but for what humans can teach, and for what we can achieve together." The hum of the engines filled the cabin, and Ethan felt a spark of hope. They had faced danger, adapted, survived, and learned from one another. But more than that, they had begun a partnership, one that combined human ingenuity and alien skill in ways that could redefine what it meant to survive, thrive, and explore the stars. Ethan knew the galaxy was vast, full of threats and wonders alike. But he also knew that humanity's cleverness, bravery, and creativity, combined with Lyra's unique abilities, made them stronger than either could be alone. And as the ship glided silently into the starry expanse, Ethan realized something important. He wasn't just giving Lyra passage. She was giving him perspective, partnership, and the chance to see the universe and himself through new eyes. For the first time, the void of space no longer felt empty. It was alive with possibilities. And Ethan knew that with Lyra at his side, they could face anything, survive anything, and perhaps together reach heights neither had imagined. The ship sailed silently through the expanse of space, stars stretching endlessly in every direction. Ethan sat in the cockpit, scanning the horizon for potential hazards, while Lyra's small frame hovered near the controls, adjusting energy, flows with precise, confident movements. They had faced danger, scavengers, and derelict stations together, and each challenge had strengthened their partnership. "You know," Ethan said, leaning back in his seat, "I never imagined traveling with someone like you. You've taught me more than I expected, and not just about ships." Lyra's eyes glowed softly, reflecting the distant stars. "Humans are more than clever pilots. You adapt, you survive, you think, you feel, and you create meaning. That combination is rare. That is why I chose to travel with you." Ethan smiled. "I suppose we make a good team. Your skills, my instincts. We handle anything the galaxy throws at us." Lyra's small smile widened. "And there is still more to see, more to learn. The galaxy is vast. You have only seen a fraction, but together we are stronger." Their next destination was a newly charted system with a planet known for rare energy resources. The journey would test both human ingenuity and alien skill. As they approached the system, Ethan noticed unusual energy readings, an unstable star, emitting bursts that could interfere with navigation. "Looks like a challenge," Ethan said, adjusting the shields. "Hold on, Lyra. We might have to improvise." Lyra's small hands moved confidently over the controls. "Improvisation is human strength. Let us see what your species can do." They navigated through the bursts, dodging energy waves that could fry circuits or tear the hull. Ethan relied on quick calculations and instinct, while Lyra predicted shifts in energy flows, guiding them through the safest path. Together, they reached the planet intact, the rare minerals glowing faintly below its surface. "This is it," Ethan said, eyes wide. "We've found what we came for." Lyra's small fingers hovered over the scanner. "Yes, and this is an opportunity, not only to gather resources, but to test your cleverness, your adaptability, and your courage." They landed near a crater filled with glowing crystals. The environment was harsh, strong winds, shifting sands, and fluctuating energy fields. Ethan stepped out cautiously, scanning for hazards. Lyra moved lightly beside him, observing every detail with intense focus. "Your species," she said quietly, "thrives in unpredictability. You adapt to danger, find solutions, and persist. That is why I am intrigued. That is why I travel with you." Ethan felt a swell of pride. Humans had faced countless challenges across the galaxy, often underestimated by others. Yet here he was, demonstrating ingenuity, resourcefulness, and courage beside a being whose skills surpassed most species. Suddenly, a tremor shook the ground. The crystals pulsed with energy, and a low hum filled the air. Ethan instinctively grabbed Lyra's hand to steady her. "Something's happening. We need to be careful." Lyra's eyes glowed brighter. "Agreed. We will approach carefully. Trust in your instincts, Ethan, and trust in me." They moved together, navigating unstable terrain. Ethan relied on human intuition, predicting shifts in the ground and energy surges. Lyra anticipated subtle changes he could not sense, guiding him through invisible hazards. Together, they reached the central crystal cluster, extracting samples with minimal risk. "You humans think quickly under pressure," Lyra observed, scanning the area. "You adapt, you calculate, you feel. That is rare, and it is why I am curious. About you, about your species, and about what we can achieve together." Ethan nodded, a sense of awe washing over him. He had always believed in human ingenuity, but seeing it recognized and respected by someone so advanced was exhilarating. "And I'm glad you're here," he admitted softly. "I wouldn't want to face this alone." Lyra's glowing eyes met his, steady and warm. "Nor I. Together we are stronger than either alone. That is why I chose this journey. That is why I stay." As the sun set over the crystal field, painting the landscape in hues of gold and violet, Ethan realized something important. The galaxy was vast, filled with dangers, mysteries, and wonders, yet with Lyra by his side, he felt capable of facing anything. Humans were clever, adaptable, and brave. And when combined with Lyra's unique abilities, they could overcome even the most unpredictable challenges. The next days were filled with exploration, careful navigation, and problem-solving. Ethan marveled at Lyra's ability to sense patterns in the environment, while she admired his ingenuity and courage. They worked as a team, complementing each other perfectly, proving that human skill and alien perspective could achieve extraordinary results. One evening, as they rested aboard the ship, Ethan spoke quietly. "Lyra, I think I finally understand. You didn't just fix my ship or help me survive. You wanted to see what humans can do, and maybe what we can become when we work together." Lyra's small smile glowed in the dim light. "Yes, and I see it now. Humans are clever, brave, and capable of more than most realize. You survive, yes, but you also inspire. And together, we can achieve even more." Ethan felt a warmth spread through him. For the first time, he realized that survival was only the beginning. Adventure, discovery, and understanding. These were the true rewards of exploration. And with Lyra at his side, the journey had just begun. The ship lifted off the planet, soaring into the starlit expanse. Ahead lay unknown systems, alien worlds, and countless challenges, but also opportunities to learn, adapt, and grow. Ethan felt a surge of hope and excitement. The galaxy was vast, but so was humanity's potential, and now he was ready to see it with Lyra beside him. As they sailed toward the next horizon, Ethan reflected on the journey so far. He had faced danger, learned from a being far beyond human capabilities, and discovered the true strength of human ingenuity. But most importantly, he had realized that even in the vast emptiness of space, humans could thrive, not just survive, when they embraced courage, intelligence, and connection. Lyra glanced at him, small fingers adjusting the navigation panel. "The universe awaits," she said softly, "and we will face it together." Ethan nodded, gripping the controls with renewed determination. "Together," he agreed. The stars stretched endlessly before them, glittering with infinite possibilities. And for the first time, Ethan felt certain of one thing. Humanity could rise, explore, and thrive in the galaxy. And with allies like Lyra, there was no limit to what they could achieve. The void was no longer silent. It was full of adventure, discovery, and hope. And for Ethan and Lyra, this was only the beginning.